Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Abundology podcast. I'm Renee Spears. I'm a spirit guide channeler and spiritual mentor. And at the beginning of each season, I sit down with one of my favorite people on the planet, the astrologer Deborah Norton, to talk about what's coming up astrologically. And it's that time again. Time is just zooming by. And I'm really excited to hear about what's coming up this spring, especially after everything that's happened in the first 3 months of the year. Like Neptune and Saturn both moved into Aries, and then they
Yep.
were conjunct at 0 degrees Aries, and then eclipse season, Mercury retrograde. Like it's been crazy.
Yes.
But now spring is here. All the
Yay!
planets, I know. The planets are all direct for a few weeks, and change is in the air. So thank you, Deb. Thank you so much for being here and explaining all of this to us.
I love it. I love you and I love talking to you and I love to share this information. And I want to always turn it into a positive spin because there's no point in feeling and letting the heaviness of the world distract us from our own personal spiritual evolution. And honestly, in times like this is when the strong spiritual folks need to really pump up, and be ready to spin that positive energy into the universe because it's so needed right now. And we have things coming up that I'm going to with I have very specific notes this time because I really 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 want to focus this time on how can I use this energy to benefit and put my life on the best trajectory and then thus create a positive wave of energy into the suffering of the world right now.
I love it. I'm all about the positive energy, so I
Yeah.
love it. Yep.
Yeah, I used to be a lot more spooky about astrology and I would always be like I don't want to scare you, but I don't do that anymore because I just found that it I don't know that it really helps anyone to be thinking in fear of planetary alignments like like why. So I've
Good
definitely
point. That's a very good point. Of all the things to be afraid of, that wouldn't be at the top of the list, or maybe even make the top 1,000, you
yes,
know?
yes, so why add to the fear, you know egregore that is huge and running on full steam right now, and so we need to build our own egregore. Do you know what an egregore
I
is? Have I
don't
ever
know. Explain
Oh,
that to
well, I
me.
love this topic. I'll tell you briefly because it is a really, I think it's a very important concept. Okay, so we all know that energy and thoughts and focus creates. It creates waves and it creates impact. Not only just around us, but in the world at large. Like, we all have that effect on the collective. We all have a very important and powerful voice when it comes to the collective. So egregores are a it's thought to be an entity of such that it is made up of all thoughts and obsessions and focus that people have on a specific topic. And that becomes an intelligence in the universe that affects things because so many people focused on something, so many people putting their real, true belief into something, whether it's true or not, carries power. And when those things converge, they create what an egregore, which is like an entity that then becomes more powerful and has more influence on the world.
Okay, thank you
So,
for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, the obvious, easy egregore to talk about would be MAGA.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, it's a terrible one. They aren't always bad, but everybody can, I think, understand how some really misguided and delusional conspiracies led into almost you could feel like MAGA is a beast that we are all fighting. It's not just it feels like a beast. And that is what an egregore is.
Okay.
So, knowing that, we have the opportunity to build our own egregores for more positive. Like, we all need to build our positive, fierce, like, like feminism right now. You know, equality right now is building an egregore, and we're starting to see it having more and more effect, but it's at war with the egregore of the patriarchy. So, but our job is to build up our side and with our collective thoughts and energies and intentions, and build our own queen egregore to basically do battle for us. So that's why I want to bring it up, because there's such important energy that's in play right now in the planetary alignments, because it's the outer planets that are dancing together. They're not in any kind of hard aspect with each other. They're in fluid, harmonious, good in a sense, aspect with each other. So we have a real opportunity as individuals to harness these extremely huge energies and opportunities that these energies give us to really build and build the world that we want to live in.
Yeah. And to remind people, it's those outer planets that affect everybody, affect the
Yes.
collective, not necessarily as much in our personal lives.
Absolutely. Like when you're
Hmm.
talking, like if I were doing a reading with someone, I'm looking at the sun, the moon, Venus, Mercury, Mars. Those are the personal planets. And that's very hard for me to address in a podcast that's going
Oh,
out
yeah,
to
yeah,
thousands of
totally. Yeah.
people, right? So we really focus on the outer planets that affect all of us. And then the interpersonal planets of Saturn and Jupiter and Chiron, and those planets are the bridge between the personal and the collective. And so they also are in play right now. Both Jupiter and Saturn are in play right now. Chiron's been hanging out in Aries. Chiron is actually conjunct Eris. So I will bring that up as well. But that's been going on for a long time. Chiron and Eris, like at least a year or so. So, but anyway, so that's the big picture. Really in play, we have Saturn and Pluto, because Saturn is an Aries, early Aries, and Pluto is an early Aquarius. And Aquarius and Aries are both, they vibe together. So, basic astrology, the fire signs and the air signs, they vibe. So they work together, they like each other, and they build each other up. And water signs and earth signs do that. The squares happen when those two um, uh, uh, elements, water and earth, those square each other. They get into this 90-degree angle. Is that 90 degrees? I'm terrible at geometry. I never took geometry,
Yes.
but I know it looks like this. Um, they get into this place of conflict, but even still they vibe together. So even though a square is a hard aspect, they still vibe together. And it's when the unlike elements are together that we get a kind of like nothing in common, kind of they don't really have much to say to each other, and so those aspects aren't nearly as important. But right now we're focused on a trine between Pluto and Uranus, and a sextile between Pluto and Saturn. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So basically, those are the two aspects that I really want to talk about. But before we do that, I'm just going to go over a few dates, because I always like to bring in some dates. So obviously, I hope everybody knows Mercury is direct. With the equinox, Mercury went direct, so we don't have to worry about that right now. Um, Jupiter has also gone direct in Cancer, and that is exciting for me because I'm a Cancer. So people who are water and earth signs right now have good aspects in with Jupiter right now, and so that's a very optimistic feeling. It's very buoyant. It's very uplifting. It's very abundant. So people with those signs and those planets in those signs are going to benefit and have been benefiting from Jupiter in Cancer. And Jupiter will be moving into Leo on June 29th. So not until we just at the beginning of our next podcast, we'll really be talking more about Jupiter in Leo. But for now, in April 25th is also when Uranus enters Gemini, and that's a major shift. So anytime Uranus was already dipped into Gemini last year, but now it's coming for the real, time in Gemini. It's not coming back out. And so anytime a major planet, Uranus, Pluto, Neptune, anytime they enter a new sign, that's a big shift in the collective, big. And we've had all three.
Yes.
Like Pluto was a couple years, but we just had finally Neptune moved into Aries. So I'm really hoping that will cut down on the delusion in the world. But it also
Yes.
seems to have, with Saturn, has sparked a war. So like it's Aries. It's Aries. We cannot get away from the fact that this is Aries. It is warlike. It is aggressive. It is ready to charge without thought, without consideration, without thought of the long-term impacts. Does that feel like this war?
Totally.
just
Yes.
just careless, just let's just have a war. And so that's very Aries. And Saturn is a planet of, I want to say action, but Saturn is actually a planet of well thought out action. But Saturn is not happy in Aries. So it's almost like Saturn entered Aries and Aries was like, fuck you. We're going to have a war. We're not going to consider anything. And so, Saturn in Aries is not the best place for Saturn because Saturn likes to think things through. Saturn likes to focus. Saturn likes to plan. So and there's a gaggle of women right now, well, men too, but I don't really think about them too much, who are having their Saturn returns in Aries right now. I've had a lot of readings that those are women who are in their mid to late 50s. And that's a tough one because this shift and Saturn in Aries, Saturn shows up where we are intimidated and where we aren't feeling super confident because it's there to help us understand and learn how to be confident and learn how to be in charge and learn how to be masters of our own lives. And I've seen a common thread with women with Saturn and Aries is they are late bloomers when it comes to being in charge. They've let
Yeah.
a lot of people be in charge, and a lot of times they're the second to the leader. Because they're such a great like assistant or a great, and we're talking about the people who usually do all the work, but then the
Yes.
leader gets the
Yes.
credit, right? Well, these women are powerful, strong, insanely intelligent, and are filled with great skill sets, but they do not see themselves as leaders and they do not see themselves as the one on the top.
Yeah. I have
And
done a lot of readings lately with people that are having their Saturn returns right now.
yep,
Yeah. And they're all like right on the precipice of great things happening, and
yes,
then like this is the cherry on top of their life.
this is
This,
when you don't for those women out there who are in their mid to late 50s right now, this is the time that you stand up and you step up.
yep.
It is your turn. You are in your late 50s. You are a powerful, powerful crone. You are post menopausal bullshit. You've been through that rough stuff. And now you are creating the life for yourself that you always dreamed of without compromise and giving away all of everything you want to other people, including your kids.
Yep.
And
And
I've
your
had to
employ and your boss, your employer.
very much
Yes.
so your boss. Like this
Yes.
is the time you do not shrink. This is the time where you are a Xena warrior princess for your own interests and your own dreams and your own vision for yourself in this third act of life or that you're stepping into. So Yeah, so I didn't mean to go off there, but that is a very important thing, and I do think it affects a lot of people in that age bracket who do listen to this podcast, who are people that you and I have both worked with. So it is important right now for it. This isn't the time to shrink. This is the time to think of yourself as Xena or Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who is my icon. She's my and we won't talk about the terrible Buffy the Vampire Slayer news. I'm going to try not to, I won't focus on that. This is the time where you have to be the warrior. Okay. So, and then let's see. Oh, and around July, the middle of July is when Uranus and Pluto will be in trine. So that isn't till the summer. That's the exact, but we're moving into it. So the energy, we're in it. Like, it's not the exact date that matters with these long term transits. They go on, and then they retrograde and they go on. So it's a big long dance that we'll have with these major players. So let's start with Saturn and Pluto. I came up with the term disciplined transformation.
Okay.
Because Pluto is about transformation and Saturn is about discipline. It wasn't that hard, but it put the two words together. It means it carries weight. And so basically, Pluto is the bulldozer of our underground, of the underneath, of the subconscious. Pluto, it just bulldozes through it to try and churn up and get rid of and destroy anything that is stale and stagnant and not serving your highest good. And it works that way on the world at large. We got through Pluto in Capricorn, which was a long haul. And at the end of it all, yeah, the world is a mess because Pluto bulldozed over systems that are corrupt and power structures that are corrupt. And it may not feel like we got anywhere yet, but we are getting somewhere. It just takes a while. It
Well,
takes a long time for everything to like finally play out. Go ahead.
and yeah, Pluto will be in Aquarius for a long time, and we're at the very, very beginning of that.
Right. Most of the
Hmm.
rest of my life will be with this aspect, and I'm 54. It's not till the 2040s.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so a lot of us will be in our last act before Pluto ever hits Pisces. So, but the good news is, what Pluto is doing in Aquarius is and transforming systems now. It's not so much about power structures, it's about the day-to-day systems that are no longer serving humanity. And so you have to think about this on a personal level. And so one of the things that you can do with this transit is break bad habits
I like it.
because you want to transform. Pluto is transforming all the time. But when you have Saturn and Pluto in friendship, in in sextile, then now you've got the focus, the hard worker, the planner, the long suffering energy of Saturn helping out with your transformation. So Saturn's like, okay, here I am. And then you have it in Aries. So it's giving us courage.
I love
A
it.
lot of times breaking habits is about fear. If it isn't always, really, when you think about it. Because bad habits are what we find comfort in. Think about
Well,
smoking, think about, the obvious bad habits, eating poorly, those things, you know, to decide you're going to quit smoking, that's one of the bravest things that you could ever do.
and especially right now, as we're entering this time where everything is new, like we have new identities now after all these shifts.
Yes.
And for us, able to break some of the habits that we've hung on to for, I don't know, maybe our entire lives,
Our whole lives.
our whole
Yes.
lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
And move forward and have the help of these planets to leave
Yes.
it behind once and for all.
Yeah. So right now we will be feeling like a little bit more like in charge of our own what are tendencies, our
Okay.
tendencies, which are our habits, right? We have more authority because of Saturn and more focus and more engagement in working hard to transform ourselves. And that can mean breaking bad habits. It's a great time to make a list. And now, not get overwhelmed, because you don't want to pick all of them, but you want to pick one or two bad habits that you really feel are your Achilles heel in life and are stopping you from getting where you want to go. So they got to be like that. And then we're going to focus on those. This is hard work. This is going to take time. It's not a, quick turnaround. So you can't expect that of yourself. The Aries energy might feel a little frustrating because Aries wants to just finish things and just do it and be there and have done it. But Aquarius is fixed. And so Aquarius, that long, deep transformation with Pluto does want to stay, does want to stick. And so those two energies are in play here. So you can use both of them. So taking on a long-term goal as well, like something you want that's going to take focus, is going to transform your life, is going to transform your psyche, your identity, all of that. Now is the time to take it on. Like if
Okay.
you feel like you need to go to a certain school to have the career that you really want, now is the time to enroll. And use your, there's going to be self-doubt. There's going to be like, oh, how am I ever going to finish? I'm too old for this, or I'm not good at school, or I'm, all the excuses that we make. Now is the time to face that with courage and say, I'm going to fight for myself. That's the Aries. I'm going to fight for myself, and I'm going to do the work, and I'm going to put in the time, and I'm going to achieve this.
And I am doing this.
I am.
Yes.
I am this already.
I love it.
Yeah, because that's the I am of Aries. And Aquarius is I know. So I know I am. Ooh, that just came to me.
That's
I know
good.
I am. I know I am. That is the energy in this transit. I already know that I am that. And now I just have to manifest it in the physical world.
Yeah.
And also alongside of that is a building self-authority, just working on your internal authority, working on being truly laser focused on who you know yourself to be as the authority of your life.
Well, and I think along with that goes trusting your intuition.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, can you even hear it? Sometimes people can't even hear their
They
intuition.
can't, we're just not, we haven't been taught that in our society, how to
No,
listen
they've
to
been
your
told what to
intuition.
do and said,
Yep.
go here, do that, believe this, have this, buy that, be this, and we have a lot of people have completely no connection to their internal authority. And that may sound silly, but I invite everyone, including myself, to stop and think about that for a minute. Am I really the authority? Like, do I really call the shots? Break that down. Use
Yeah.
Saturn to help you break that down. Make a list. Like, am I in charge of this? And all the different things in your life. Am I in charge of that? And then obviously, as I always talk about with Saturn, we're talking about integrity. And integrity, you can't be in integrity if you aren't an authority in your life. Because it's the authority over your own actions that will determine whether or not you follow your own integrity. Like, I can believe something, but I will say, oh, but it's my boss, it's my job, so I can't, like, classic example is, it's just business, it's not personal. That, how many people have said that or believe that? And that is not true. That is not good. That is
Well,
not okay.
in some regards, and I'm going to say in most regards, but there are some times where, it isn't about if somebody says no, they're not rejecting you. They may
Yeah.
be rejecting what you're doing
Well,
and not what you're
absolutely,
saying.
absolutely.
Yes.
I'm thinking of it because I just saw it on a TV show where these people were bulldozing over people's lives and destroying lives because it's just business.
Yeah. Of
I'm talking
course,
about
that's
the
not good.
extremes. I'm
Yeah.
not talking about the day, you know what I mean? Like, I'm
Yeah, I
talking
do.
about the big stuff, like, like you don't believe. What's a good example? I'm really fired up about animal testing right now. And they just had a big, huge rescue of 22 beagles out of a lab I think, in the East Coast somewhere. I can't remember exactly where. And a lot of activists went to prison for this, were arrested, and they managed to free 22 beagles. So an example would be someone who believes in the rights of animals, who loves dogs, but they work for that company.
Yeah. How do
That's
we
not integrity.
it's not integrity. How do we reconcile this and with, let's just say, leaders, people in government that seem to have zero integrity?
Yeah,
Will this be changing some of that? Do we expect to see some shifts?
I do. Especially for a particular leader. I'm looking at that chart every day practically, and looking at Jupiter heading straight for Saturn in the Orange Man's chart. Jupiter is headed straight for Saturn, and I am expecting major, big karma coming bigly, is what I keep saying. Karma coming bigly for you.
I
And
want a t-shirt that says that.
yeah. And so I've been really watching this Jupiter thing. I've been waiting and waiting for it to go direct. So it's heading back towards that Saturn, which is so weird. But the Saturn in Cancer at 23 degrees is that placement for the Orange Man. And my sun is at 23 degrees Cancer.
That's
So
so
they're exactly
interesting.
the same degree. So
Yeah.
I have a personal investment because Saturn is going to, Jupiter is going to conjunct my sun. I mean, that's like glorious, right? Because Saturn expands and makes everything bigger. But Saturn expands and makes everything bigger. And when you put that on top of Saturn, that's karma.
Yeah, Jupiter expands and makes everything bigger.
Oh, did I
Yes.
misspeak? Yeah,
Yeah,
Jupiter.
that's all right. We got it.
Yeah,
Anybody that listens to
Mercury
this
is still
podcast,
going retrograde, or still going direct for me, I guess.
they have heard me say a million times, Jupiter is my favorite planet,
Yeah,
so they totally know it expands
yeah. No,
everything. Yes.
I stumble over my words a lot, but
Yeah, that's okay.
thank you for being there for me. Yeah. So that's the kind of thing that I do hope is going to happen. That we're going to see some karmic play, or see karma play out.
Yeah.
Um, and I hate to say this, but I have a lot of expectations for this Jupiter thing, and I'm afraid because a lot of times things work out, but not exactly the way you think they're going to work out with astrology. So it's not going to be probably exactly what I expect or hope, but it's already happening. It's already happening. I mean, we are seeing every day that there's people are stepping away and moving and distancing themselves. So it's already happening. The karmic payback is happening. So that, to answer your bigger question, is yes, I do hope that this means we will start seeing, with Saturn in Aries, fiery and warlike, that we will start seeing the dominoes fall. We just have to keep, and I don't want to, again, I don't want to go too far into that. I don't want to focus so much on that, because I do want to think about all of us building ourselves up, all of us using this energy to build up ourselves, because the only thing that's going to beat that egregore is our own egregore of
Yeah.
of peace and equality and mutual aid and all of those things that we all believe in. That's the egregore we need to focus on, not the other one. Okay, so also one last aspect of the Saturn Pluto is facing difficult truths. They said you got to settle up with some stuff. You just got to settle up. Like, there's certain things that you avoid, you stick your head in the sand, like could be anything, like could be financial stuff you don't want to deal with, or it could be retirement decisions you don't want to deal with. Or, even for me, like my dad is 86. He is my favorite human. He is my everything. My dad is my hero. He's 86, and facing a difficult truth is that he is going to pass away. And it is going to be a call one day that I'm going to get. And thinking about that is terrifying for me. But not accept, he's accepting it. He's like, every time we visit, he's like, let's go to the bank. This is the trust. This is the paperwork. He's facing it. And my sister and I are like, And every time we go visit him, we try a little bit more to just like he's a Capricorn, Capricorn rising, Capricorn moon. And it's like, let him like let him have that control over his own destiny. And we shouldn't just constantly avoid it. We need to say, thanks, Dad. What happens if this? Like, what happens if that? Like, we need to learn how to be in acceptance of the inevitable. And so that is something else that you can work with right now, because also that takes courage. That takes all
Yeah.
my courage in the world to accept that. Like, it's very tough. And I
Yes.
know a lot of us in our ages are losing our parents. So a lot of us will resonate with that. But that doesn't mean you don't get prepared, like certain things that you got to be prepared for these things. There's massive shifts that happen when our parents pass away. And we have to be willing to accept that and plan for it and have conversations now with them while they're still here, so that everything on the other side of that is not totally chaos in the midst of all the grief that you're going to be feeling. So that's my personal difficult truth that I know I'm working on facing. So how does this feel? This can feel let's see. Oh, I lost my place in my notes. All right. Okay. Yeah. This transit is not something that just happens overnight like a breakthrough. It's a quiet leverage, and it's slow moving, and you will generally start to become more disciplined and more focused over time. You know, it's going to be a slow, steady, nothing exciting. We're not, because we are talking about Saturn, and Saturn doesn't like excitement. Saturn likes control. Saturn likes things to be under control. So this is not like when I talk about Uranus, then we'll talk about breakthroughs and exciting things. But this is not so exciting. This is just like, in a sense, doing your taxes. Like, you have to do it, right? Like, you have to do it, but that on the on the other side of it, you're going to feel great that you did it. That it's done, that you did it, that you adulted.
Yes.
so,
Yes.
so that's how this will feel for us. And so, simple ways to work with the energy is to pick just one problem that you've been avoiding, just one, start with one, strip it down into a system or a weekly habit to just identify it for what it actually is rather than be overwhelmed by it. And then remove one obstacle that keeps you stuck in it, just one. Saturn is slow and steady wins the race. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So this is not the time to feel overwhelmed and give into that overwhelmed feeling of, I have so many problems. This is a time
Yeah.
to just say, nope, we're going to take one and we're going to chip away at it. And then you're going to commit to the smallest version of that change for 30 days.
Yeah.
And so
This is
go
yeah,
ahead.
this is not crash diet time. This is
No,
change your eating habits for the rest of your lifetime.
exactly. And
Hmm.
again, the quitting smoking metaphor, it's like, you don't just go cold turkey. You cut back on one a day for the first
Yeah.
week, and then you cut back on, however, so that you don't want to risk big failure here. That will set you back, because then you're going to have to work all the way back again. So
Yeah.
it's painstaking, but it takes time. And then as Saturn loves, track your results, not your feelings, because this isn't about feeling. Now here I am saying it's not about feelings, but no, this really isn't about feelings. Saturn does not. Saturn says fuck your feelings. So this isn't a time to get, and we're talking air and fire,
Yeah.
not in the feels here. We're just
Yes.
get this done, check it off the list, and then don't give up, steadfast. Don't give up, even if you fail for a week or a month. Don't give up. Just go right back to it. Just say, okay, where did I leave off? I'm going to just pick it up from there. I know for myself that I'll be like, oh, I'm going to eat better. And then I'll have one day where I eat a bag of potato chips. And then I'm like, I'm a loser. I can't do this. I mean, I collapse in on myself. And I'm learning as I'm getting older that that is ridiculous.
Yes, it
Don't,
is.
because
It
the
is.
emotional toll and setback that creates, that sets you back so much further than just saying, oh, that's okay. Tomorrow's another day.
Yep. Road bump.
Get back on the horse tomorrow. It's just,
Yep.
yeah, it's just a little bump in the road. It's a setback, but it's not the end. And it doesn't mean you're a failure. Most of us in this life only succeed through failure. Most of us, we can only,
Most, I would even say
maybe all
maybe
of us.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always hate to say all, but you're right. I mean, honestly, the only, it's the scientific method. You fail until you don't fail.
Yeah.
And that's success. So apply that same logic to your own personal goals and intentions, that you're going to fail, and then but one day you're going to succeed, and you can't give up on that. Okay, so do you have any questions following up on that conversation, Renee, or anything?
No, that it feels good. It feels like we are finally doing the work to move forward into our new versions, into our new
Yeah.
identity.
Yes,
Hmm.
and now we have a taskmaster at our, you know,
Yes.
working for us, not working against us, working for us, like your internal school teacher or your internal boss. I mean, that is what Saturn is. So is basically on your side. And working for your your long, big transformation. So that's it in a nutshell. Okay. So the other big one, which is again Pluto, but now we're talking about Uranus and Gemini. And we're talking about a trine, which is two air signs. Air signs are great because they do not get stuck in feelings and stuck in the mud, as you well know, my
As
friend.
I well know, yes.
You are so airy. And that, I believe, is why you are able to stay so adaptable to change and stay positive in the midst of, I've been your friend for over a decade. You've gone through some major shit, but you
Oh
have
yeah, yeah.
always, always, always stayed positive about every single challenge I don't know why it always makes me tear up when I think about you like this, but you're such a role model for me, because
Oh,
I'm the
thank you.
opposite. I am not good at that. I get sunk. I got water, I got a lot of mud, water and earth. But I do have enough air, and I have a Mars air. My active engine is air, even though it's retrograde. But I use you as a role model to know that just because you don't get sunk in something doesn't mean you didn't go through it and experience it to the fullest. It doesn't mean that you are ignoring the heaviness of it. It doesn't mean that you are not feeling the heaviness of it. It just means that you are choosing to feel it and then still rise above it. Choosing to. It's choice, right?
Oh, it's choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you are remarkable like that. I mean, I know all of your clients would agree. Like, you are such in the right place in what you're doing for people, because it is so hard not to get stuck. So hard. And
Yeah, it's hard to be a human. It really is sometimes. So, yes.
yes.
I am very, though, being a Gemini sun, Gemini moon, I'm really
Mercury.
excited about this,
You
Uranus moon
should
in
be.
Gemini.
And though, as I've told you for years, expect big change, expect sometimes overnight change. you know don't let it don't let it scare you,
Oh,
because
I'm here for it.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
here for it.
yes. So anyone with Gemini right now, Uranus is coming for but that's an exciting thing. It's like Uranus is coming for you. That means
Santa
things
is
are going to
coming.
shift, things are going to suddenly click. That's the great thing about Uranus. It's like, oh my gosh, I see now what I never saw. That's called an epiphany. And that is the language of Uranus in your sign. And then you have your superpower of Gemini adaptability to be like, okay, quickly, I got to adapt to this. This is new. This is different. This is drastic change. This is, wow, I didn't see that coming. It kind of took my breath away, but now I just got to move with it and accept it and adapt. And that's what Gemini does. So I'm not really afraid for you guys.
Oh, no.
It's
Yeah.
different in a different sign than those, like in my sign, when Uranus comes for Cancer, like I can't lie, I'm terrified. But I am not, it's not Gemini energy. I have Saturn in Gemini, so I do have something there. So I'm leaning into that because that means that I can expect a lot of change. And I do adapt well when I'm focused. And in my work world and in my professional world, I am very adaptable because that is where Saturn is in charge of me. And so, you got to spin it. So, whoever out there, everybody has Gemini. You may not even have a planet in Gemini, but everybody has Gemini on their chart. And it may be the house that it's in. It's going to affect a certain area of your life where you have Gemini. And that's where you lean into the houses and you figure that out. So that, everybody has every sign. I know my astrology teacher used to remind me of that all the time. It's like, just because you don't have a planet there doesn't mean that you don't get to benefit from that energy. So we all have adaptability within us. And that's what's going to happen. But Uranus is the higher vibration of Mercury, and Mercury rules Gemini because Mercury is connections and fast and data and quick details and all of that Gemini stuff. And so Uranus is just that in a much bigger way. So there will be some shocks in the way things change, but we can know for sure Pluto is working with Uranus. This is great. This is the stuff that it's like, well, I haven't seen much change since Pluto got into Aquarius. Like, where is all the change? Pluto is only at like 5 degrees, Aquarius. So it's slow. But a lot of people are like, where's all the sudden, where is the change that we expect? Where is the humanitarian benefits that we expect from Aquarius? Where are the big thinkers, the geniuses that are going to step up right now and save us from the things like the environmental things that we're dealing with, from the big problems that we need the great minds fixing right now. And so that is what I know we will start to see more of as soon as that trine is, again, Uranus doesn't move into Gemini until April 25th. So that's coming though, that's close. And as soon as those two get together, these are the notes that I made. So we're talking about, with Pluto Uranus, adaptable transformation. Okay. So when you say them together, again, it packs a punch. Adaptable transformation. So this is a door that's going to be open to sudden breakthroughs and new freedom. Aquarius is about freedom. I think a lot of times people forget that Aquarius, because Aquarius is about the weird freak energy, the different energy, the alien energy. Well, what is more freeing than to just be like, yeah, it's the let your freak flag fly.
I was just going to say that.
That's freedom. That's
Yes.
freedom. Revolution. Those are all Aquarian things. Revolution. We all feel that right now, right? And this is an air sign thing. So we're not looking so much at revolution of like in war times. We're talking about revolution in the collective consciousness up
Yeah.
here. It's not so much everything around you that you can see, feel. It's about what's in here and our collective network, that where we connect up here. And again, it makes me think of the telepathy tapes, that podcast,
Yeah.
because that entire podcast is about how much more is going on where we, in our connections to each other through our minds, than has ever been done before. So that's the kind of stuff. And
Well, and we've been talking about, the collective consciousness shift
yes,
happening here. And
a
now
lot of
here
people
we
are
are.
talking about that.
Here
Yeah.
we are.
Yes. This is that, because Pluto's been like this. Like, I got a lot to do. There's a big hill to climb. There's a lot of transformation that needs to happen. There's a lot. And Uranus is like, here I come. And it's going to lightning strike. It's literally like a lightning strike. It's like, oh my gosh. And things could just shift in one day. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the things that are going to shift and start moving quickly. So it's like we've been stuck in mud and all of a sudden we're going to go vroom. Things are going to start moving faster. And a lot of this will be in the technology realm because we're talking about air signs and Gemini and Aquarius. All air signs really do speak to the technological advances and changes in the world. And so we're going to see that. But then personally, it's just about, here's the steps. Okay. So upgrade your life structures. So what are life structures? Life structures are basically your how you govern your life and how things are put together, the structures of your life, like your career. Everybody knows, like most of us, like we've been working on our careers. We've been plotting, we've been improving, we've been learning, we've been going through all of this, trials and failures and wins. But that's a structure. Your career is a life structure that you have built. And so this is the time to upgrade that. So this looks like go after that promotion that you've been working toward, or leave that company that is not allowing you to grow anymore. That is the types of things we're talking about. And what's going to happen with Uranus is before, when you would say, oh, I need that, I really want that promotion, or I really don't want to work for this company anymore, but you're like, but how am I going to do that? Like, how? Uranus is going to tell you how. Uranus is going to put those thoughts right into your head, and you're going to go, oh my God, I know how I'm going to do it. I know exactly how I'm going to do it. And so that working alongside Saturn and Pluto, well, then Saturn's going to step in and say, okay, let's get to work. Isn't that great? Like,
It's
this is
great.
such
It's
good
great.
astrology. This is all great stuff because they all are working together in that little, trine and sextile. They're all working together. So this is also a time where you can start to experiment intelligently with things in your life, because you're going to have more insight. Uranus is going to give us all a little bit more insight. And so things that you've been afraid of, you can start to experiment with a little bit more, with more intelligence. So with more knowing and less like insecurity about whatever you are experimenting with. And that could be anything. We are all experimenting all the time. We are all doing that. And so this is just a way to, like, suddenly we're going to have a little bit more intelligence behind that experiment. So for example, right now, I'm experimenting with learning ballroom dance. That's my husband and I, we are taking like all kinds of lessons. We are having the time of our lives, So experimenting intelligently would be for me to think about, like, well, what do I want out of this? Like, do I see myself competing someday? And if so, like, do I need to start, go and get, go to these competitions, start really paying attention to the dance world? Like, this is just kind of a silly example, but that's something that I know for myself I'm experimenting with. And so, and then also along with that comes getting unstuck. This is the get unstuck transit. Uranus is not stuck. Gemini is not stuck. These things move so fast. And so just lean into it. Lean into it. If something suddenly shifts in your world and you're going to change, something has to change, like maybe you get laid off, that's a great unsticker. Getting
It
laid
really
off.
is. Yes.
Because you're like, oh my God, the whole bottom just dropped out of my life. I better start, experimenting intelligently about what I'm going to do next, And so you got to lean into that. And then collaboration, that's Gemini. So you're not alone in this. Invite more collaboration into your life.
Yeah.
Go to the group that you've been too shy to go to, show up for, like some group, like maybe whatever it is that you're into. Even if you're into, like, I really want to, maybe people are like, I really want to get more involved in my local politics. Like, I really want to step up and help change my community in hopes of like changing the world. Like, there's a lot of people who have been watching, and they're intelligent people and they have ideas, but they do not have the courage and the ability to unstick themselves from their current circumstances and figure out what it takes to run for office. We need that right now. Our local governments and our local communities, we need thinkers, changers, movers, people with new ideas. We need that. And there's a lot of people out there who are ready for that. They're younger, they've got, fresh experiences and new ideas. They're ready. And so now is the time to just lean into that and say, what have I got to lose? But what have I got to gain if I actually could find myself elected into a political office where I can actually change the rules of my community? I mean, that we need that more than ever, especially with all the people that are dying. We can't let we can't let the other side fill all those vacancies. We need people who are humble, and those people who are humble and have good ideas, those people aren't the ones usually to run for office, because
Yeah.
they don't see themselves like that. We need that to change. We
Yeah.
really need that to change. We need the humility. We need that in our running our politics. So this will feel, ways to work with it is to pick one area of your life where you need a breakthrough, where you're just stuck. Just again, this is like the other. Pick one, focus in on one breakthrough. I need this to shift. I cannot stand the stuck feeling in this one thing, and I need it to shift. And so you want to just pick something, and then you want to, I love this, you want to change the system, not just the mood, right?
What
Sometimes
do
we
you
can,
mean by explain that a little
yeah.
bit?
So a lot of times we can say, well, the mood of my work, say my workplace, or even your family, the mood is heavy. The mood is stuck. The mood is frustrating, right? And so there can be little things that you do to just lighten up the mood. That's not enough. That's not enough. We're talking systemic change. And so this is saying, don't stop at changing the mood. You can start there, because then you've like made the environment a little bit more fertile for your new thoughts and new ideas. You got to go one step further. You got to actually make the change. You got to get into the problem and really, you know, think of solid ideas and solid action that you can take to actually systemically change the problem, because the mood is going to fade and it's going to go back to what it was unless you actually make real change. So that's what that means. And so these are all, I mean, this is all good. So
It's all good.
yeah, that was the big point I wanted to make, is like, it's really hard right now not to get discouraged. It's really hard not to think that the bad guys always win. It's really hard, but we don't have to lean into that energy. In fact, we shouldn't be leaning into that energy. You
Well,
know,
and from everything what you've said today, like I feel so optimistic. We've been through some shit happening in astrology over the last couple of years that
yeah,
really have shifted us. And now here we go. Here we
this
go
is
into the new version. Here we go into the new world. Things are changing. We're like finally here. I know for years we've talked about, well, when this happens in the future, when
yes,
this happens, when this happens.
yes.
Now here it is.
This is happening. You're
This is
right.
happening.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
I feel like I can always already feel it. And we're having an early spring in Oregon. And I'm like, wow, that's, Gemini. It's like, let's move quickly. Let's get there fast, get into
Yeah.
spring fast, and I feel like, with Jupiter direct and now Mercury's direct, I feel like we've been at the precipice of massive, massive change. And we are going to start seeing the reality of that within this spring. Like, by the time we are talking in June, we're going to have some serious things to reflect on and be like, oh my God, can you believe that happened?
Yeah, like here we go, mofo. Here we
Yeah.
go.
And so all
Yes.
of that applies to us personally, as above, so below. It's
Yeah.
out there and it's in here.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom with us, Deborah.
You're welcome.
You pretty much only do astrology readings for Abundology clients, I think now.
I do. I have become more selective, and I just love every single person that you have brought into my orbit. I
Yeah.
and there are, and I should be nice. There are some men, and they are wonderful men. So if you're out there, I don't mean to totally like dismiss you. Anyone I've worked with has been wonderful. So all of your people are so wonderful. And yeah, so I'm really only doing readings for them.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And just so everybody knows, after we record these podcasts quarterly, then I hit unclick the recording button and Deb reads my chart. So that's
Yep.
what I'm looking forward to next. If you would like a reading with Deborah, just email her. It's at debnorton@me.com, and I will put her email address in the show notes too. Yeah, thank you. Thank you always for sharing your wisdom with us, and yeah, we'll see you. We'll be back in June to talk
On the
about
flip
all of the
side.
stuff, all the
Yeah.
transformation.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we will talk to you again next time.